Ever wondered why dreams occur, or thought about what they may convey? Today we're going to dive into dreams, aspects of a dream, and the system of understanding those dreams. Now, why does a dream occur? A dream happens as we look into the unconscious. When we go to sleep, we go into the unconscious state, where you've been absorbing 24/7, both in your conscious and unconscious state. You've been absorbing. When you have a dream, this means there's enough data to formulate now a visual response to what it is you've been absorbing. An outcome, sometimes a vision, or a memory. Now let's break down how a dream is experienced for an individual. There is the observant. In this dimension, it'll feel like you're looking into the dream, like you're looking at a play of a certain moment or situation of your life, or it can be something that hasn't occurred as yet. But in that moment, all you are capable of doing is looking, as if you're looking into a screen. Sometimes when you're in a dream, you may wonder why you can't speak, why you can't move, why you don't have your senses as you would, but it's given in a specified way so that you understand you're aware in that dream, aware enough to look into the unconscious mind where that dream is taking place. So when you're in that realm, all you're capable of is what is allowed to you, is what is experienced by what feels like chance. When you associate yourself with this realm, if you are, you will feel like it's an uncontrollable happening. It's a dream that occurs once in a while, ever so often. This is because at this point of awareness, all you can do is observe. This is what we call the observant category. Now, there's a participant. When we can participate, actively participate in our dreams, this is where you are now in a state of conscious in the unconscious, creating moments or states of consciousness. Awareness is much higher, in a way that you're as aware as you would be in your wake states within rest, within the unconscious mind. Sometimes in dreams, you may have full control over every happening within it. When things are happening, it does not influence you. You influence it. You shape how these thoughts go. You shape how the reality of what that dream is projecting will happen. As this is the realm of active awareness and understanding of all these reactions and actions as, before, and when they occur. So sometimes you may be in this dream, something is happening, and within this dream of what used to seem like a story you're simply observing. You are now the character that embraces as well as makes change within that unconscious realm, within what felt like a mainstream must happen outcome that can now be shifted for yourself as you develop in this unconscious realm. Then we have the median. It's a state that is conscious. You are conscious within the unconscious realm enough that you can speak. You can go through some form of mainstream communication between yourself and what is happening in those dreams. However, when it comes to entire awareness and control as well as manipulation of this reality, it is something that is given to the participant, who now allows the conscious and the unconscious to connect, making higher states of consciousness, higher states of awareness available to that person. The median is a person who is conscious and on their way to becoming a participant, someone who can see these things in their dreams, who can communicate in their dreams. To an extent, it feels like a first-person point of view. When you're in that dream, you're not watching it, nor are you a direct manipulator or shaper of it. You are simply a median within it. For example, you may be having a dream, and you become conscious in what feels like a first-person point of view of you doing an action, be it speaking, running, listening, communicating. Sometimes you may not understand what is being communicated, but you are aware that you are communicating, that you are sharing, you are a medium between what is happening in the unconscious realm. This is where you are conscious in that medium point. Now that we have an understanding of the unconscious realm and how it ties to when we dream, awareness in our awake states, and the levels of awareness through the observant, the participant, and the median. Now, when it comes to assessing your dream, how do we go about it? There is a way we use in dream yoga the chakra systems. So in the chakra systems, there's different dimensions of emotional turmoil or emotional points within your body, psychological points within your body that interpret how you feel, how you are, where you are, and how we now empower them, how we now help you release them, how we help you unlock them. So within the chakra systems, we look at our dreams. Something very important to keep in mind when assessing your own dream, make sure that the entire dream is available, or as much of the dream is available to you before placing any meaning or reading into that dream. Make sure you gather as much of the dream as possible, because it can be easy to misinterpret. It can be easy to see something that we would like to see. And what we would like to do is bring essence to what the unconscious mind speaks to us. So we practice listening to the entire dream before we start our assessment. The next thing I personally recommend is having a dream journal. Some place where you can write down these dreams as you go through your dream yoga process, as you go through this awareness system. Now, after you formulate all that occurred within this unconscious realm, what you need to do is zoom out and think of the aspects of the dream. This requires a high level of insight and intuition. So the people who pursue their sixth chakra or open their ajna will be able to read into the context of these dreams. Because remember, a dream is a formulated amount of data from the unconscious realm. Not everything will be specified. It is meant for you, the person with high insight and intuition, to understand and then draw from it. So within this, you need to have an open sixth chakra. Within that, now you can use these chakras to increase the accuracy at how you read into these dreams. This requires patience, and it requires continuous spiritual practice, because what you're doing here is raising awareness to your unconscious self. Think about it like this. There's a side of you that has been half asleep. It only gets bits and bits of information. What we're doing now is practicing establishing a connection so that it doesn't just get those bits. It integrates and it works with the conscious self, where you will directly interact with the categories of ego, superego, and id. There's a video that we spoke about on these forms of ego, these forms of personas within yourself that influence your entirety, your conscious and your unconscious self. The id and ego and superego are all present within the unconscious realm. Some may look as mirrors, some may appear as familiar faces. This is your unconscious mind using the data it has to give you insight into possible problems, questions, or unresolved feelings that you've had in the past, in the present, and even in the future. This is where you'll find some people refer to them as visions, no longer as dreams, but visions, because they are able to see into what has not happened yet, due purely to the heightened state of consciousness they have within themselves. So, dream yoga is a gradual practice of being mindful within yourself, both in your wake and your non-wake states. It employs the use of what we define in science as REM sleep, a layer of sleep in which you can be aware, in which the conscious mind interacts with the unconscious mind. Now the question arises, how do you begin interacting with this unconscious self? How do we begin dream yoga? Well, first, we need to employ the yoga side of it, life. We need to apply mindfulness to ourselves. When you become mindful in a gradual stage of progression, it influences your entirety, your conscious side, as well as your unconscious side. Within this mindfulness, it will extend itself into your dreams. It will reflect itself as you progress. Sometimes in life, when things happen, we have dreams. And when these things occur, it's about leading us into something more. It's because of that situation that heighten our awareness that now is reflected into our dreams. We become more mindful. So to manually bring this into your life, practice mindfulness through mindful meditation, as well as other mindful practices that you can use, like yoga, something that brings focus to the self, and not just the self, then the higher self. As in dreams, we will tend to interact with, I'll use ego, id, and superego. How these different states of mind, different parts of yourself influence a dream, we shall discuss in the next episode as we bring realization to the aspects of a dream, as we read dreams and how we benefit from them, how we can now improve in a progressive rate because of them. This episode brought you to the reality of what a dream is, what transpires in that dream, where you are, who you are within that dream, and now how you get to it. This is your Formless Guide, signing off.